The day the pen trembled in her hand was the day a man at the edge of desperation collided with a woman who had everything except what truly mattered. Rain streaked down the glass walls of the hospital office, blurring the city into a wash of gray, as a single father sat hunched on a metal chair, his hands clasped so tightly that his knuckles had gone pale. He was not afraid of pain, nor of the consequences that might follow his choice. He was afraid of time, afraid that love alone would not be enough to save the small life waiting for him at home. In that moment, when hope felt thinner than breath, destiny was quietly rearranging everything. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for a second. If you believe that kindness can change lives, that second chances still exist in a hard world, then like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach hearts that need them. He had once believed life would be simple, not easy but honest. He had believed that working hard and loving deeply would be enough. But life does not always respect effort. After his wife passed away suddenly, the house that once echoed with laughter became too quiet, too heavy with memories. Every morning he woke before dawn, packed a small lunch, and left his daughter sleeping with her favorite toy tucked under her arm. He worked multiple jobs, not because he wanted more, but because he feared less. Less food, less medicine, less time. He measured his life in sacrifices, telling himself that this was what love looked like when the world was unfair. His daughter was everything. Her laughter had the power to pull him back from exhaustion, and her small hands holding his fingers reminded him why he kept going. But love, as powerful as it is, cannot pay hospital bills. When her illness worsened and the numbers on the paper grew impossible to ignore, the walls began to close in. Loans were denied, favors were exhausted, and the future looked like a locked door. Late at night, when she slept, he searched for answers he never thought he would consider. He told himself he was not brave, just cornered. The hospital where he went that day was not unfamiliar to him. He had spent countless hours there, watching monitors, counting breaths, pretending to be calm. This time, though, he was alone. He sat outside an office meant for decisions no one should have to make. His heart pounded not from fear of the procedure he was considering, but from the shame of feeling relieved that an option, however terrible, still existed. He convinced himself that his body was replaceable, but his daughter was not. In his mind, this choice was not about loss, but about survival. Inside the office, a woman stood by the window, her back straight, her presence commanding. She was known in the city not just for her wealth, but for her precision. A self-made CEO who had climbed without shortcuts, she lived in a world of contracts and numbers, where emotion was a risk and control was everything. Yet on that day, something about the storm outside unsettled her. Perhaps it was the reflection of her own loneliness in the rain-streaked glass, or perhaps it was the file she had just reviewed, detailing the case of a child she had never met, but somehow could not ignore. When the single father was finally allowed inside, the room felt too quiet. He explained his situation in simple words, stripped of pride, stripped of dignity. There was no performance, no attempt to persuade. He spoke as someone who had already accepted his fate. He did not ask for sympathy, he asked for time. Time he hoped to buy with a piece of himself. The CEO listened, not as a businesswoman weighing profit, but as a human being confronted with a truth that spreadsheets never show. She noticed the way his hands shook, not with fear for himself, but with worry for someone else. As he reached the end of his explanation, the pen lay on the table between them, small and unremarkable, yet heavier than anything either of them had ever held. Signing would mean crossing a line that could never be erased. It would mean acknowledging that the world had failed him so completely that this was the only path left. He reached for it slowly, his mind filled with images of his daughter's smile, her stubborn courage, the way she believed he could fix anything. That was when everything changed. The CEO felt something crack inside her, something she had spent years building walls around. She saw not a desperate man, but a mirror of what she had lost along the way. Success had given her power, but it had taken time, warmth, and the simple joy of caring for someone without calculating the cost. Her hand moved before her mind could catch up. grabbing the pen not as a business decision but as a refusal. In that instant, she chose to rewrite the story in front of her. What followed was not a dramatic rescue, but a quiet unraveling of old beliefs. She did not lecture him or pity him. She offered him something unexpected: partnership. Not charity that would bruise his pride, not a transaction that would haunt him, but a shared future built on respect. Her proposal was not romantic in the fairy tale sense, but radical in its humanity. She believed that two broken paths could support each other better than one man sacrificing himself alone. For him, the offer felt unreal. He had come prepared to give up part of his body, not to be seen as worthy of a life beyond survival. Doubt crept in, whispering that kindness this large must have conditions, that hope always comes with a hidden price. Yet as days passed, actions replaced words. Medical bills were handled with transparency, not secrecy. His daughter received care without compromise. And slowly trust grew where fear had lived. The CEO found herself drawn into a world she had never allowed herself to enter. She learned what mornings looked like in a home where time was measured in school bags and breakfast spills. She learned the quiet heroism of a man who never complained, who carried grief and responsibility with equal grace. In helping him, she discovered parts of herself she thought were gone forever. She laughed more, slept better, and for the first time in years, felt present. The city, always hungry for spectacle, whispered rumors. People questioned motives, calculated benefits, and waited for the arrangement to fail. But inside their shared reality, something stronger was forming. It was not perfect. There were misunderstandings, moments of insecurity, and the weight of past pain that did not disappear overnight. Yet each challenge was met not with control, but with patience, not with fear, but with choice. As the child's health improved, so did the man's belief in the future. He no longer woke each day bracing for disaster. He began to dream again, cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. He realized that love does not always arrive gently. Sometimes it storms into your life and demands that you trust it. The CEO, once guarded and distant, learned that vulnerability was not weakness, but courage in its purest form. Just before the ending of this story, take a moment and comment below what this journey makes you feel. Share your thoughts, your hopes, or your own story of second chances. Your words matter more than you know. In the end, there was no grand ceremony, no dramatic announcement to the world. There was simply a family, formed not by desperation but by deliberate choice. A man who no longer had to trade pieces of himself to protect his child. A woman who finally understood that success means little if it is not shared. And a little girl whose laughter filled a home that once felt empty, proving that love, when given the chance, can heal what the world breaks. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that humanity still exists even in the darkest corners, then please, like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this continue to reach hearts searching for light.